The Atlanta Braves have trade deadline acquisition Tyler Mahle on the mound for his third start in Atlanta, opposite Twins starter Zebby Matthews. Here's your 15-minute scouting report for today's game. Yes, welcome on in to the Braves Today Scouting Report, a production of the Belief Podcast Network and presented to you by FanDuel. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. And here's everything you need to know about today's matchup between the Atlanta Braves and the Minnesota Twins. Starting off, the weather for today. Didn't have the graphic yesterday. We got the graphic back for today. 7:40 p.m. start on Braves Vision. There is a little bit of showers in the area in the late afternoon. It is supposed to stop with sunset. We saw a delay was possible and happened yesterday, despite the fact the showers never actually hit the ballpark. Could see something similar to that again today, but the game should get played. Again, 7:40 on Braves Vision. Atlanta's put out their lineup, and this is what I'm calling the playoff version of the lineup. Drake Baldwin at DH, Ronald Acuna Jr. in right field, Matt Olson at first base batting third, Michael Harris II batting cleanup, followed by Ozzie Albies at second base batting fifth, Mike Yastrzemski in left field batting sixth. Austin Riley moves from 8 to 7. Let's hope that doesn't ruin the magic here. Mauricio Dubon, who's been struggling a little bit recently, drops down to the 8th spot in the order, and Sean Murphy behind the plate batting ninth. Baldwin, Acuna, Olson, Harris, Albies, Yastrzemski, Riley, Dubon, and Murphy. On the mound for the Braves, Tyler Mahle, 4-9 with a 4.64 ERA. All of the ERA estimators say he's been a little bit unlucky there. 3.93 expected ERA, 4.10 field and independent pitching, striking out just over 23% of batters, walking under 9%. So a pretty healthy 14.7% strikeout to walk rate. You like that. The things with Mahle, it started his final start before Atlanta acquired him, but they've really adjusted his pitch selection. And Sean Murphy's catching him, and part of me thinks those things are connected. He's throwing his splitter more. He was about 25% pre-trade. Now he's about 37%. And a lot of that's taken away from the cutter, down from 18% to 12% post-trade, and the slider. 185 pitches since being moved to Atlanta. He's thrown 2 sliders. Both of them came in the last outing. So really kind of simplifying the pitch mix. And he had simplified this in his final start versus the Padres before the deadline, but Atlanta's taken it to another level here. And again, the results say this was the right move. 6 innings in both starts, 16 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 earned run. The thing that makes me feel this was a smart decision, and you can see why they targeted Tyler Mahle over somebody else, 28 swinging strikes in those 2 games. And the whole thing about the rest of the rotation that you have outside of Chris Sale, we've talked about this, right? They're good at generating weak contact. They're good at generating ground balls and things like that. They're not good at missing bats. Tyler Mahle has shown his last 3 starts, he has been able to get the swing and miss, and I think that's a big deal. Honestly, you should be able to kind of expect length here, right? We haven't tried to push him into a 7th inning, but 92 pitches, 93 pitches to get through 6 in the first 2. So I think the expectation is probably 6 competitive innings, as long as the walks don't get out of control. And the thing here is he has to be okay against the righties, okay? This season, lefties have hit 223, 275, 386 off of Tyler Mahle. Righties have hit 294, 376, 461. And so the question for me is, how heavy is Minnesota going to lean into putting a bunch of righties in their lineup against a right-handed pitcher? Well, guess what? They didn't make a special effort to try and do that. Luke Keeschel leads off in center field. He's a righty. Trevor Larnach checks in left field. He is a lefty, so taking away one of the options there. Ryan Jeffers, the catcher, is a right-handed hitter. He's been in both games so far. He's going to be in every game that he can play. He's one of their best hitters. He's batting third. Josh Bell, a switch hitter at DH. Cody Clemens is playing second base. He's a left-handed hitter. Royce Lewis is a righty, so there you go. He's in the lineup batting sixth at first base. Brooks Lee is a switch hitter. You'll see him come up and take some at-bats as a righty today. He's well, you should. I don't know if you will. You should. If Brooks Lee's batting lefty today, you know that Minnesota didn't look at the scouting report. Alan Roden is in right field. He's a left-handed hitter. He's batting eighth. And Kalen Culpepper, the rookie shortstop prospect, is batting ninth at shortstop. So no Byron Buxton. We don't have any word if this is just scheduled rest or if there is something they're concerned about from last night. But you've got some of the usuals you were going to have. Royce Lewis was always going to be in there. Ryan Jeffers was going to be in there. But like Trevor Larnach's in left. Alan Roden's in right. Both those guys are lefties. They had an opportunity here to try and get some hitters that would make a lot of that made a lot of sense from a matchup perspective against Tyler Mahle. Now, that being said, Trevor Larnach's 4 for 10 with 3 doubles. So I see why they put him in the lineup. Other guys to worry about, Ryan Jeffers is 3 for 9 with a homer and 4 RBI. Byron Buxton, you always have to worry about. He has a homer and 4 hits and 9 at-bats. But again, Josh Bell, Brooks Lee, switch hitters. If they're batting lefty instead of righty, you at least know that, like, hey, Minnesota didn't look at the scouting report today. On the mound for Minnesota, Zebby Matthews. What a name. I assume Zebby's short for Zebulon, but still, what a name. 6-8, 5.34 ERA. The estimators say he's a little unlucky, right? 4.69 expected ERA, 5.05 fielding independent pitching. He's still not been good. He's just been a little bit unlucky. 19.9% strikeout rate, so he's below 20%. Walk rate of 7.8% is better than league average. Not by much, but it is. And so the difference there is like 12.1%. You want to see more than that. The thing that he has going for him, other than not walking the world, is the fastball velo. He averages 95 on his four-seamer. It is his primary fastball. He does throw both a cutter and a sinker, but they combine for only 15% usage. The four-seamer is the main pitch, right? He's throwing 2 different breaking balls in both a curveball and a slider, and he's actually gotten some pretty decent results on these. Atlanta's path here needs to be loading up on the lefties. Lefties have not necessarily done that well. I'm sorry. Lefties have done well against Zebby. So load up with the lefties, hunt the four-seamer, hunt the cutter, try not to chase the breaking balls. 33.7% whiff on the slider, 33.8% on the curveball. So both those pitches miss bats 1 out of every 3 times. Don't be confused by the 95 mile an hour on the four-seam fastball and just think that that automatically makes it dangerous. The whiff rate is 13.6%. Opponents are slugging 504 off the fastball. So this isn't a situation where you have to you have to be nervous about getting into a fastball count. You want to get into a fastball count. You're going to be able to ambush him early because the fastball is so hittable. Again, the velocity is there, but the fastball itself, the shape, the everything, it's hittable. I will say lefties will probably have an easier time. The main reason they'll have an easier time is because they see less of his best pitch. Okay. Lefties hit 826 OPS off of Zebby Matthews. Righties are 774. But the difference is against lefties, he cuts back how much he throws the slider to like 16%. And he throws more of the changeup instead. If I'm Matt Olson, if I'm Drake Baldwin, if I'm Michael Harris, if I'm Mike Yastrzemski, I would much rather get that changeup than get that slider. So kind of an interesting note there is it's maybe a little bit of suboptimal pitch usage in the at-bats. He does ramp up that slider a little bit when he gets ahead. It's still only like 24%. It's still not enough, right? He could throw that thing probably 35 to 40% of the time without a massive decay in effectiveness, and he just doesn't do it. I don't know if that's him. I don't know if that's catcher Ryan Jeffers, if that's the pitching plan, but there is some room to ramp up that slider usage and have it be successful. I really hope the Twins aren't watching this, by the way. Righties, it's a little bit of a different situation for them. It's more kind of kitchen sink, but he is aggressive with using that slider. If he gets ahead of you as a righty, it's like 40-something% slider. So probably more important for the righties than the lefties. Jump on the fastballs early. The good news is he's really, really good about throwing first pitch strikes to righties. And the four-seamer is the number one pitch that he uses against righties. And it is some variation of a fastball, like 60% of the time. So it might actually behoove you, if you're a righty, to try to ambush a fastball on the first pitch, because if not, he is going to get to that 40-something% range of the slider and just keep spamming those things at you with another 15 or so percent in the curveball until you're out. So again, easier matchup for the lefties. They produce better because he doesn't throw as many sliders. If he starts throwing more sliders today, I'm going to feel really bad that I gave them the idea. Last thing real quick on Zebby before we get to the bullpens. The only Braves pitcher, or the only Braves hitter who has ever faced Zebby Matthews in a regulation game is 1-for-2 with a homer, and it's Lane Thomas, so he's not even in the lineup. It's pretty much no experience against Zebby Matthews in Atlanta's starting 9, because again, the only guy who's faced him is Lane Thomas. Bullpen status for both teams. So for Atlanta's bullpen, the leverage arms all got off. Fuentes was off. Iglesias was off. Lee was off. Dylan Dodd's not pitched since Friday, although I think he got up on Sunday and didn't get into the game. So they've all had rest. Ray Kerr threw 21 pitches last night. He normally, a guy throwing 21 over 1 in the third innings, would be able to come back. The fact that he just got back from Tommy John, I'm guessing he's probably not going to come back. And that's probably why they pulled Victor Medeiros after just 1 inning and 10 pitches, so that Medeiros can throw again if he needs to. He's at 39 over the last 3 days. He threw 29 on Saturday, but I'm sure if you need length, Medeiros can give you length. They may trust Kerr to go 1 inning. They just may not have him throw multiple today. Brent Suter threw 49 on Saturday. He might be able to come back. I don't actually know, but either way, like you may have almost a full complement of your bullpen. It depends how aggressive Atlanta wants to be with some of the guys who threw recently and or have scary innings pitch counts over the last couple days, right? You could use almost everybody. You could see a case to give Kerr off, give Suter one more day as well, and kind of stick with the 5 or 6 man pen. And by the way, with DFA-ing Tyler Kinley, until we know for a fact that Grant Holmes is going to work as a reliever, you're technically a man short in your bullpen right now. Just kind of heads up on that. You have a couple guys who can give you length, right? Suter, Medeiros, Kerr can all give you length when they're fresh. So that may mitigate it somewhat. But right now, until Grant Holmes goes back there, they called up AJ Smith-Shawver, you're technically a man short in your pen because AJ Smith-Shawver starts tomorrow. The Minnesota pen is in a really kind of interesting place. Like bulk arm Tommy Nance is well rested. He hasn't pitched since Thursday. He's the only one. Everybody else has pitched in the last couple days. Cody Funderburk had a back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday. He should be good. Taylor Rogers is coming off of a back-to-back. As one of the lefties, he's probably down after pitching a back-to-back. Jeff Hoffman, 37 pitches between Saturday and Monday. I'm sure they'd like to give him the day off if they can. Don't know if they can do it. Andrew Morris pitched a back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday, and it took him 51 pitches to do it. So he is likely also going to be down for at least one more day. So if you don't have Hoffman, you don't have Morris, you don't have Rogers, that means we're almost guaranteed to see AJ Minter because you got to have a lefty you can use. You'll probably see Cody Funderburk as well. And then you're going to have to bring back a Travis Adams or Yoendris Gomez today, depending on the length you can get from Zebby Matthews. So going to have to see a little bit more here, right? We're going to see more of the pen. And hopefully the fact that this is a pen they've rebuilt on the fly can give Atlanta the opportunity to score some runs late if they're down and trying to avoid losing the series in game 2. Kind of final thoughts here real quick. Atlanta's a slight favorite on the money line, like -128 to Minnesota's +120. That's from Braves Today sponsor FanDuel. The over-under is on 8.5 runs. And honestly, to me, it feels like this matchup comes down to who can hit the fastball better, right? Tyler Mahle has avoided throwing as many fastballs, right? He's cut back the slider. He's cut back the cutter. I shouldn't say cut back the cutter. It's a lot of alliteration there. He's pulled back on how many cutters he's throwing, but he's replaced that with almost entirely splitters. So he is throwing less fastballs overall because the splitter usage jumped so much. Zebby Matthews has the better breaking balls. Like his breaking balls are better than whatever Tyler Mahle's throwing, but the fastball's been surprisingly hittable. And again, slugging over 500, it's been crushed. So if Atlanta can hold off on chasing the slider and the curveball and make him win with the four-seamer in the zone, you got to feel good about Atlanta's chances today. If Mahle keeps getting into either early at-bat contact where they're chasing the fastball to keep him away from the splitter, or he keeps getting behind batters and has to throw the fastball until he gets to 2 strikes, that's where you're going to see him get into trouble. So whoever hits the fastball better today probably ends up winning this game. And for my own sanity and my mental health, I need the guy on Atlanta's team to crush some fastballs to be Ronald Acuna Jr. I need him to hit some fastballs today because that's been a sore spot for a lot of this season, has been Ronald against fastballs, especially elevated up in the zone. That'll do it for the Braves Today scouting report for Game 2 between Braves and Twins. Please enjoy the game. We'll be back after it with the postcast over on Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta, and our written game recap called Today's 3 Things over at bravestoday.com.